Hello again, listeners, and welcome back to the Kotu Classic. We are finally back. Chama, it's been a while. FPL is back. The buzz is on again, so I'm excited. How's it going, man?
Well, I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah, with with the new background, new overlay, and
Yeah,
stuff like that. With the new season, yeah, we are ready to go, guys.
we
We
are
are ready
ready to
to go. I'm good,
go.
man.
It's a,
Yeah,
it's.
I think
Go
the
ahead.
FPL fever is kicking in
It's kicking in. Yeah,
gradually for me because now I
definitely.
am doing a lot of checking data here and there, watching podcasts,
The
watching
same,
YouTube
the
videos
same.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, I think I am getting into that that feel I want to get into
Yeah,
back.
yeah. It's exciting, especially watching like on YouTube. You see many podcasts coming out and with good content too. So it inspires you to
Yeah, definitely.
get your get the stuff going. And we are recording today. It's Tuesday here for me. It's the early 7:50. What time is it over there for you?
Boy, it's what's it? 23:50. It's almost 12 o'clock
Oh, 7 o'clock
midnight.
Wednesday.
So yeah, almost.
Tuesday, sorry. Yeah, so we'll just discuss. This is the game week one. This is our first episode of the season. So this is game week one, season four for the Koto Classic, and we'll just discuss like the preseason, some of the signings. We also discuss like the fan corner, like our teams, respective teams, how well they're doing or how badly they are doing, depending on who you ask. And then finally, we'll
Mhm.
get into our Game Week 1 teams. I can say it's like Tuesday today, so there's still a bit of time. So there might be a bit of change, but not as much change because I think most of our teams are almost there. It's just one or two things that we need to just tweak. So yeah, let's start off with the Community Shield. So I think everybody has been like pretty much, you know, just waiting to see how Man City and Arsenal will play or will set out their teams because a lot of players that we have in our teams revolve around Arsenal and Man City, of course, because they're the two best teams, in my opinion, in the league. So, what were your takeaways for the Community Shield, if you did watch it, actually?
Yeah, I did. I did watch it. It was quite late in Japan. I think the game started midnight, just around this time, and then ended very late, around 2 a.m. But I did watch most part of it. I was streaming, so it was not
Oh yeah,
great
yeah.
because yeah, so streaming is never great. But the second half, I get a very good grip of the second half, how the
Mm.
game was going, and I really like what I saw from both teams. To be honest, I know Manchester City. It's normal. They're gonna be rusty at the start of the season because of the type of team they are. A team that they build
Build
their
momentum,
momentum
yeah,
as the season
yeah,
progress,
that's true.
of course, but you could watch them and you could see the quality that they have. And Arsenal, they are a hungry team. Last season, after what happened to them, they are very hungry to, to achieve something. And we see them, they have had an exceptional transfer window with the players that they have brought in. You can see the intent in that
Hmm.
team. You are not wrong in saying that they are the second best team in the league at the moment. Yeah, definitely they are. And then the watch football was very good. I watched the Arsenal style of play, which of course is similar to what we expect from them, what they did last season. And with the new signing Timbers coming in at the left back and then
Very
doing a
impressive,
bit of
yeah.
what,
Hmm.
yeah, very impressive, doing a bit of what Zinchenko usually does. Havertz was very impressive for me, even though he did miss a couple of
Hmm.
chances that
Yep.
maybe we could have expected him to do better. But I think I like what I saw from him. And from an FPL point of view, he was playing as a striker. He's, termed as a midfielder with Gabriel Jesus injured right now. So yeah, Arsenal. And then, but something that spring to mind when I saw the Arsenal team was that there's going to be a lot of hell of a rotation. Pep go
Yeah.
Ateta is gonna be Pep this season
Hmm.
when it comes to rotation because his squad is very big. His squad is very, he's very, and they are playing in the Champions League. So all these factors coming in, Arsenal is going to be a team that maybe is going to be difficult to predict, but maybe some of the key FPL assets might be easy to predict, players like Saka and stuff
Hmm.
like that. And defensively, I think they are very good, and I think that is a place where I feel maybe people are not giving too much attention to. Maybe people are thinking, okay, let's get one Arsenal defender, let's get one Arsenal goalkeeper or stuff like that. But they have a plethora of options in defense, and yeah. But Manchester City, yeah, it's Manchester City. You expect them to be good. Stones, interesting where he was playing and the system they played. There is something you expect if how can I say? He was not inverting a lot because of
Mm-hmm.
they played to the 2 8s, 2 6 who sits. Yeah, Kovacic was more of an 8 that sits, that the controlling 6 kind of. And then you have Foden came on in the second half. Even though everybody expected him to start, he still came and have a very good cameo in the second half. But again, it's Pep. We don't know what to expect. But it was an interesting game to watch overall. I enjoy it. How about you?
I feel like it was more a bit of a stalemate, even though Arsenal had the clearer chances in the game. I think Arsenal, okay, City started off really well in the game, we're attacking, but then Arsenal kind of built into the game because I think they have this mental block when it comes to City because City has always been beating them. So I think this moment, even though it's the community shield, there's a lot to take from this in that the confidence of the players is going to be really heightened right now. Okay, we managed to beat them, even though it's penalties, but we still beat them and have the community shield. So next time you see them against Man City, it's going to be more competitive than what we're used to seeing. And I think Arteta learned from last season where he lost, what's his name again, Saliba, and then all of a sudden it's like a different
They
Arsenal.
crumbled.
The balance wasn't there anymore. So I think now that's why they went out to buy like some of these reinforcements, like the Kai Havertz, to give them a different dimension when one of their key players like Jesus is injured. Um, uh, um, like I said, Julian Timber is a very good addition. Like I didn't even know he could play left back. I know he could play the right side of defense and then right back, but I never expected he would play left back and did really well. I was like, wow, I was impressed. So for Man City, I think Kovacic is going to be the new Gundogan. That's what I kind of the idea I'm getting for Pep because he needs that kind of player that runs into the box and gets the chances. And Kovacic, like you saw, I think he did a run that I think they didn't really. He almost went into the box, but I think somebody took it out. Can't remember exactly. But those are the kind of things you expect from a player like Kovacic who can actually run with the ball into the box. So he's going to create a lot of chances. If we keep an eye on him, we'll see that he will do well in this Man City team. Like Haaland, I was disappointed with Haaland, obviously, because last Community Shield too, I think the same thing happened where he missed some chances and then they say, oh, he's going to have a bad season. And then look what happened. So with Arsenal, I think it's going to be difficult with like you said, with the switching of the plays. But I think Trossard really impressed me because anytime since last season, whenever he comes in, he gives like he's very impressive.
Different
It's difficult to
dimension.
keep him on the bench. So I think Martinelli is going to have to be on his A game this season because whatever happens, Trossard is like coming for his spot, and he's one player that is very business minded. He comes in, gives the assist, or he scores a goal. So when it comes to FPL, I'm hoping that he gets more chances in the team this time around. With Kai Havertz, I'm not sure whether this is the only time we see him being deployed as like the target man for Arsenal because of obviously they're playing Man City, or is this something that's going to be like whenever Jesus is injured, like Kai Havertz comes in? He's not really the best target man for me, but I think his best thing is maybe at 10 behind the striker, but you never know. So let's see how it goes. But overall, we can see that when Man City were attacking, but the threat was not there of scoring a goal. But when KDB came in, that's when everything changed.
It was
So
different thing, huh?
I feel they're going to rely on KDB a lot still, and they've lost some of their key players that like when things are tough, they can actually start scoring goals. Mahrez is gone, Gundogan is gone. So they only have KDB now, who's like the most experienced attacker in that place, and Bernardo Silva. That's why they're trying so hard to keep Bernardo Silva, in Man City, because if they lose him, it's going to be very rough for them right now. So yeah, I think key takeaways. Those are the key takeaways that I've noticed from the community shield. It's not much to look into, but it just gives you a glimpse of how the season is going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
curtain raiser. Like you said, Timbers played left back. I think for Ateta, it has come to a point where it does not matter if the left back or the right back is a left footer or a right footer because they are not expected to, bump up and down the left wing
Hmm.
or the right wing. They always gonna, in most of them, if you are a right back, if you are in the right, sometimes you are gonna be invert into the center back, and if you are a left back, Timbers is gonna drop into the midfield and then become part of double six or stuff like that. Most of the time, that was what he was doing. He was not going up and down. So I
Yeah.
think that why it was easy for him to play in left back
Mm.
in Arteta's team, which is quite interesting. But Arsenal is a team that is very, they have different dimensions going
That
forward.
is what. Yeah. That is the thing.
The,
Yeah.
like you said, Kai Havertz can play on the 9, and he did well. He did cause some trouble for them,
He did.
and
He
then
was
he can
supposed to
drop into,
score. Yeah. He had two clear
yeah, yeah,
chances that he was supposed to score. Yeah.
exactly, and he can drop into the defense, into the midfield, and
Mm-hmm.
then become a 10. And
Clear
you
out
have
wide
Trossard.
right too. Yeah.
Trossard can exactly Trossard and Martinelli. They can both play in the middle if they
Mm-hmm.
want to, and then that flexibility that Arsenal have right now. They can play the double six with Partey and Declan Rice. So in different games, they can come with different tactics.
Mm.
They are very unpredictable. I really like what they are doing in their team, and I can see something big for them happening this season.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move to some of the transfers. I'm sure it's difficult to keep up this season with transfers. There's just too many. It's like
Yeah.
transfers in and also out. So at least, but the main ones for me, like, is like obviously Nkunku, because he's a top player. But then for Chelsea, when he came in, everybody was excited. But the problem is he's now injured. I think it's just been confirmed that he has a knee injury. He's going to be out for 4 months. So who are some of the transfers that you are?
4 months?
Yeah,
Really?
4 months. Yeah, I think I just saw it's gonna be. It's knee, man. So it's something that is like very
Yeah,
very
MCL.
serious.
He had an
Yeah,
MCL injury. Not easier, but
I
MCL.
just saw it just a few. Uh, I'm not sure, but you can check and
Yeah,
see.
but I saw
Yeah,
two. I saw something like that. He was gonna
yeah.
be out. I
At
saw
first
it.
I saw two, but then I just saw four. I was like, wow, this is. Yeah,
That's a blow.
it's
That's a huge blow
unfortunate.
for
Yeah,
them.
it's very unfortunate. So
They just lost what's his name, Fofana, through injury too.
Fofana, yeah, he was the
Very
first one
big.
to get injured. I think the first few games of the preseason he was out, and he's also very unfortunate, man. Like, to be that young, to have so many injuries that keep you out, like your development is gonna stall. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. He's very unfortunate. But Chelsea too, they are very. How can I say? They are very. They don't do their homework very well, I think. Because
mm,
Fofana is a player. I don't, we should not be talking about him. We're talking about transfer. He's a player who he had a history with his knee injuries. He
mm,
had one before he went to Leicester. Then he had one at Leicester. Then he came to Chelsea, and then he had another knee injury, something like that. So it was something that was meant to happen. So his history record, he's just 2021. It was very bad. And then you were ready to pay 70 million for him. Even though I know he was an exceptional
he
player. I
was,
think we
yeah.
talked about him last
The
season.
potential was there,
Yeah.
yeah. You can see from Leicester, yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, let's look about the transfers.
Yeah, Joao Pedro is somebody that I'm really interested in because you all know, like, I've been a fan of him, to be honest, but I think it's a good deal for Brighton to
Yeah.
sign him, even though Brighton have two strikers in Welbeck and Ferguson, who they can switch. But Welbeck is very injury prone and he's getting older.
Mhm.
Ferguson, I'm not really too sure. He was out for a few last season, so I think Pedro, if he stays fit, he can be like a really good option right now. He's on pens, like we saw in the preseason. There's also Diaby at Aston Villa. A few fun picks you can say, and I'm sure there's more.
Mhm.
Like, which ones actually like stand out to you?
Um, in terms of transfers, I think there's quite a lot of interesting ones.
It's
But
yeah, quite a few.
from an FPL point of view, I think one or two players that people are talking mostly about is Jabi and João Pedro. These are
Pedro, yeah.
players they are talking about. Of course, Nkunku and Jackson at Chelsea too. They
Jackson,
are
yeah.
players. Madison at Spurs. They are all very interesting. But for me personally, I think Jackson is looking like the deal. Because of course he's not just because he's our Gambian brother or stuff like that, but
Yeah,
he's
I
a
should have put
very
him on there. Yeah, I should have put him. Yeah.
yeah, he's a handful. He's a handful. I think he can be a very good target man for Chelsea.
Mm.
He has pace. He is powerful.
He's tricky too. Yeah.
And yeah, and he can finish. Very young. So he's somebody at 7 million. Is quite interesting. I mean, of
Mm.
course, Man United too. You just sign a striker, Hoyland. I don't know Hoyland or
Hoyland, yeah.
Hoyland. I don't know how to pronounce the
Hoyland,
name.
yeah. They said the D is
Yeah,
silent. Hoyland, yeah.
he's also priced at 7 million. So he's also a player that maybe is somebody to think about. Jabi, I have had a lot about him. Jabi, he's gonna be exceptional and things like
Mm.
that. I've not really watched him properly, but he's looking like an exciting pick. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have a few. So I think we'll just see. It's just about who's gonna start. Like, even Mason Mount, like his role in ManU is a bit different, but you can expect him to arrive at the box late and then like have chances. There was one in our last game. He had a point blank chance, where he should have scored, but obviously
Then
he
he
didn't
missed
score.
it. Yeah, I
He's
saw
going to
that.
have more of those. So for me, I think it's going to be between him and Bruno Fernandes, depending on the formation that we play. But you can expect that he will have some goals, especially if he gels into the team properly. Yeah. So there are a few. Madison also, if Kane stays, you have Madison that's going to supply Kane a lot of goals. So I
Yeah.
think we were discussing this just yesterday about Levy trying to keep Kane in the team, even though they turned down
Yeah.
about is it 100 million euros or whatever for
Yeah,
for
something
him
like
from
that.
Bayern.
Some quoting 100
If he
million.
stays, man, then Madison is probably one of like a really good option to really look at. So yeah. Um, so moving on to some players, like I think, which players do you say for this season will like elevate their game or stand out? Anybody that you have in mind that you think people should watch out for, apart from the signings, of course.
Mm, I think the obvious players will be there. If you talk about the players like Salah, Haaland, Saka's, Odegaard, and then that's for those players that had a very good season last season. I think those players will be there. But some players that I would think could be very interesting this season. Uh, like for example, I would go per team or something. Foden is one of them. I think has been a player that many people are. I like what I saw from him from that cameo. The
Hmm.
only problem is Pep.
Starting, yeah,
Like, is he
that's
gonna give him
that's the
this?
thing.
Is he gonna give him the
The minutes.
the yeah, the minutes and the platform to showcase himself,
Mhm.
because Pep have issue with Foden because of his defending abilities and stuff like that, his understanding of how to defend, especially when you are playing in the midfield area. That's why he prefer to play him always on the sides, and prefer players like Bernardo. Those players know how to
How to
cover the
defend, yeah.
spaces and little things. But he's a very interesting pick. And of course, at Tottenham, for me, I'm keeping an eye on Richarlison. He had a very bad season last season, but I think he was a player that was very exciting when he was going to Spurs, when they
Hmm.
pay 50 million to Everton to get him in. Everybody, like, people were like, well, how are they going to use him and things like that, and they did not use him properly.
They did
They
it.
did not
Yeah.
use him well because they had Kane, so it was difficult. So even if Kane moves and Richarlison, keeps his Richarlison happened to be their main guy there, if they give him the opportunity, I think he can be a very good player, just like we saw at the World Cup with Brazil when he played with top players. When he had the platform, he was delivering. So he's a player that is quite interesting to me. And Arsenal, like I say, defensively, Arsenal, their defense too. I think they looking quite solid. So they are still center backs. They had an exceptional season last season, so it's difficult to just say, okay, these players will they just follow suit. But yeah, for me, other than the obvious picks, these are two players. Of Belmont is people are talking about him, and I understand why,
Boom,
because
yeah.
of Tony is not there, so he's gonna be the main guy and all those kind of things. So yeah, how about you? Which players are you thinking about?
I'm thinking of Momo is good, obviously, because I think he's listed as a midfielder. That's why, but playing as like a support striking. But I think Visa is somebody. He is strike partner. Visa is somebody who they are overlooking, especially now until like Tony gets back. He's going to
Yeah.
be one of the guys that they rely on. Even though you said that they signed a striker, but I don't think he's ready to start yet. So Visa is going to be somebody they look forward to like holding the line and scoring those goals. And we know they are a very good counter attacking team.
Yeah, and
So I
he's a
think,
very
yeah,
good finisher.
yeah. If I can fit him in my team, I think somebody I've been thinking about a lot. Joao Pedro is also another one because right now the problem is we had Haaland, like you see in like in our draft, we'll show.
Yeah.
You have Haaland as like strike for most teams. He's the main striker, but then you have to have somebody else who's partnering him. And Gabriel is injured, so now it becomes a problem. Who is the best option to put up there? People are coming up with Watkins, different options because we don't know anybody.
Mhm.
There's nobody that stands out to be like the person to have there. That's our issue right now. That's the problem we're having. So I think we'll be surprised with a few players. Yeah. So let's move to the fan corner where we talk about two teams and how well they're doing or how well they did during the preseason. Do you guys have more games to play in the preseason or you're done? That's it.
Now we finished yesterday. Yesterday was our final preseason game of the
Okay.
season.
Okay. I see. Well, Transfers in, I'll go first, Man City. Transfers in, we have, I think, three transfers. Mason Mount came in, Onana came in, yeah, and then Hoyland is also in. We are hoping to get Amrabat, but we have to sell a few players. I think yesterday, West Ham offered about 60 million pounds for Harry Maguire and what's his name again? Scott
How much
McTominay. 60 million pounds
for the player?
for two of them, yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, it's their decision to see whether they want to keep. Because honestly, I think we need to move players out so that before we buy right now because of financial fair play, according to them. So we'll see. I feel like we need at least if we ship out because Fred is leaving. He's about to leave. Sorry. Van de Beek is also about to leave. So we need to replace all these players so that we have enough depth in our team. Even though we have a few players that can, like Kobe Meno is injured, but yeah, we need some few players. Mason Mount is integrating into the team, even though he hasn't really had like a really impactful game, but he's doing his best, and you can see why the coach brought him in because of that energy in midfield, the dynamism. So he's doing well. Onana has changed our team a lot. I think right now, like he's one of the signings that changed almost everything. The way we press, it's not going to be a fun season for Man U fans watching him play because if you're not used to it, it's, it's not easy.
It's
But
too
yeah,
risky, yeah.
it's risky. He's had a few chips, even though it's not a fault of his own, especially the last one where Dalo give the ball away. Like it's going to take time for the defense to get used to it. Our two central defenders are fine. It's just the full backs, especially one Bisako or Dalo. Right now, both of them are playing not so up to scratch, so it's going to be difficult. The coach keeps changing because they don't know who's better. At least, one has good defense, one has good attack. So you need a player. I'm sure we're going to sign soon a player who has like better than both of them in both departments. That's what we need to get. Um, yeah, Garnacho is going to have a breakout season, hopefully, because he did well. He's a very exceptional player. He's now the player on the right, on the left in Rashford's place. But if Hoyland comes in, Rashford goes back. Garnacho goes back to the bench and becomes like a sub for Rashford, which is good. Sancho had a good preseason as a false nine, but I don't think he has a place there yet. He's going to be third choice. Hoyland, Rashford, and then Sancho. But his best position is on the right. Yeah. What else? The results and performances from our team the preseason. We are trying a few things, so I think it's not as impressive as we want it to be, apart from the win against Arsenal. But the rest, man, just defensive lapses, errors here and there. I hope the last game was okay. We drew it was two teams played the last two preseasons. The first team played, and then the second team played. The first game was okay. We won that one 3-1. The second game we drew 1-1, which was the reserve. So you can see the bench people played. So I think from now until then we're just going to be practicing, and hopefully against Wolves we adapt more to our strategy and hope it works out. But I'm very hopeful more than last season, especially if we add like Amrabat and maybe a few more players in. That will be fine. My best thing right now is for us to get a more established striker to help Holland integrate into the team. If you can sign another like more mature striker, I'll be very happy. At least we can bet him slowly and not expect too much from him at this stage of his career. Yeah, Liverpool, you go on. What's happening?
I think Liverpool is quite obvious. We had a transitional transfer window, I would say, because if you see our midfield, which um like it's completely new now, because if you know Liverpool midfield, you're talking about Henderson, the captain. You're talking about Fabinho. You're talking about Milner. Those were the ones who started it, and all these players left. These are three leaders in the team. They left. You add that to Oxlade, Chamberlain, Naby Keita, of course, a lot of young other players they left the club. And then so far in the window, we have already signed a couple of players. I would say progressive signings. Sabuslai, McAllister. These two players are very good when it comes to playing um like midfield eight or something like that, playing higher up the pitch, receiving balls, and which they are controlling games from the middle. They are very good at that. But I think there is a glaring weakness in the team currently. The defensive midfield spot has not been replaced yet. We let go of our two main players who used to play in that position, and all we have now left is a young player in Bicep who is currently injured to
Oh.
cover that position at this moment in time. But nonetheless, if you recall well, last season, at the end of the season, Liverpool changed their formation. And in the last 5 or 10 games of the season, they started playing with a 3-box-3, which is the similar formation that Arsenal play, the similar formation that Manchester City play. And I think since we started playing that formation, we have not lost a game. And it brought the best out of some players like Trent and things like that. And he became very interesting during the end of the season. And that is the same formation that we are planning to play this season, because if you see the signings, we are looking at two players who will play at the tip of the box, because the box you have like a square, you have two players sitting and then two players sitting at top who will receive and then making, breaking line. Like once they break that line, those are the ones who create the chances and receiving ball in the half spaces and things like that, which is a football thing, I would say. But so those two players are very important in what we want to do going forward. But the defensive midfield is a big issue. To speaking of our preseason so far, we have played 5 games in total with Liverpool. They won 3, drew 1, and then lost 1. But they have scored about 18 goals, yeah, and they have conceded 10 goals so far in preseason, which is all like it's nice. Like scoring 13 goals is nice, but also conceding 13 goals is crazy. If you are a team that, so it's like Liverpool are going back to their self of heavy metal stuff, just play like how do they call it? Outscore your opponents to win. If your opponents score 3, score 4, score 5, which I don't like too much, because I know what control can give you, and we have been there. So we have to improve on that side. But I like what I'm seeing going forward in terms of attack, our the type of chances we are creating for our strikers, our forward players, and the way we are pressing with a younger team, more dynamic. Like the age of the team is much younger now, so I like all those little things. But again, it is preseason, and I think the best is yet to come. I'm not expecting much this season compared to last season where I was here rumbling like we're gonna be there winning the league or competing for the league. That's not where I am this season.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I still expect us to compete for. There's a minimum thing I expect Liverpool to be in. That was the top 4 last season. It did not happen, so it was a terrible season. So the top 4, at least I expect us to compete with the team we have right now, and I'm expecting us to, address that issue of number 6. We will bring in someone for sure before the transfer window closes. I don't know how early, but we will do that. Yeah.
Yeah, man, a lot of things happening. So there's a lot of change because I'm sure you guys didn't expect that you will lose 2 players at the same time. The Arab money is speaking now. Players are transferring there. So it's going to be
Yeah,
a
but it was
challenge
good. I think it was good opportunity for the club to
to
not
to recoup
like
some money. Yeah, definitely.
yeah, because
Yeah,
of Fabinho, 40 million. I don't think any wise club
we'll pay that for
like
him right
in
now.
Europe will
Yeah.
come for Fabinho for 40 million. So it's an opportunity. So yes, he's an important player. He could, but he needs to be for him to be an important player. He needs to play better than what he played last season or play before. So like the club took the risk and then just do it earlier than expected. So Henderson, yeah, he was on the down. He was already 33 years old. So on a high wages, which is a very important thing when it comes to Liverpool, how much the players earn. So those 2 players, they were high earners along with the players that left. And now you are going to replace them with the younger players, hungrier players. The only thing is they don't have the experience. But the fact that Liverpool have a team with a lot of leaders is easier to integrate these younger players into the club. That's my thing. That's what I think. Yeah,
Yeah, I think you guys are going to go through a small transition. I think before you
we are on
get back to
transition.
yeah,
Definitely, right now we are on transition.
yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, so jumping into game week 1 is the main thing right now. So even though things might change, like I said before, but it might not change as much because we are already pretty set just a few days before the league starts. So the fixtures actually, as you can see here, the first week we have Burnley Man City, which is the first game. We have Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, Luton, Everton, Fulham, Sheffield, Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Aston Villa, Brentford, Spurs, Chelsea, Liverpool, ManU, Wolves. So that's the first game week 1. as the first schedule for game week 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. So which teams are you going to target, or which fixtures do you think people will target? I think this is the obvious pick, so I'm just going to ask it so that you can just voice it out. But
No, yeah. If you look at the template right now, you will see a Brighton player in there. You will see a Man United player in there.
yep,
You see an Arsenal player in there. So these
exactly.
three
Man
teams
City, yeah.
are three teams. Yeah, yeah. Man City, of course, because
Mm-hmm.
of Haaland. I think in most key, and especially it's Manchester City.
Yeah.
Um, um, but I think looking at the fixtures for game week 1, for me, I think those three teams, Brighton, Man United, and Arsenal, they are the teams with the best fixture. Man City fixture, I know it's Burnley. They're gonna play Burnley. It's a good fixture because they are way better than Burnley. They are the best team in the league, so
Mm-hmm.
they all fixtures are good for them. But I just have a feeling about Burnley because of the manager they have. I think it's not going to be the same Burnley that we
Yeah.
see before. It's going to be completely different type of Burnley.
Mm.
I have followed a little bit of companies, his coaching style, and last season they were one of the best teams that ever come from the championship to the Premier League. So they could be a surprise package in the Premier League.
Yeah.
For me, they are a team that I would expect to stay. I would expect them to stay in the Premier League. But Manchester City is a different ball game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Burnley playing at home on a Friday night, first game of the season. I think it's going to be a very tough game for Manchester City. I will expect Man City to win that game, but it's going to be a really tough one. If you recall well, a couple of seasons ago, Arsenal played their first game away from home to Brentford, right?
Yeah.
Anybody who know anything about Brentford,
I
they
was
just came in Friday
yeah, yeah,
night.
yeah, yeah.
Those little things they
It's
make difference.
difficult. It's a
And
difficult fixture, yeah.
yeah, it was a difficult fixture. I would expect Man City to win definitely, but I would not expect them to, especially considering they are also rusty and
Yeah,
Burnley
they're
are coming
slow
with fire.
starters too, yeah. Yeah.
I think Burnley started preseason before any team this season. So all
Wow.
these little things they are gonna have an effect on that. So that's why I don't see that as the ultimate fixture for me
Okay.
personally.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
But the three fixtures that I see as as very very nice fixtures are Brighton playing against Luton,
At home.
and Arsenal play against Nottingham Forest at home, and Manchester United playing against Wolves, who are like I think that is the team that I feel they don't show in any ambition
Mm.
for progress this season.
Yeah.
So these three teams I feel have the three best fixtures. And how about you?
I think yeah. I think if we show our teams, it just tells you what we are targeting. What the template is right now is what we feel like, or the teams we feel like are going to do well in game week 1. And yeah. So looking at the fixtures, this is we're showing game week 1 to game week 6, even though we're just going to focus on 1 to 3, just for
Yeah.
discussion's sake. We can see Liverpool. I think I heard from one of the podcasts that, I think Andy, Let's Talk FPL, that if Liverpool's Bournemouth fixture was in game week 1, things would have been different. And I kind of agree.
Absolutely.
I kind of agree because it's like, oh, Liverpool have a fixture and it's an easy fixture, and then it's a start. You can have Salah will probably be in the discussion, even though it's going to be difficult to bring him in or to fit him into the team. Some one of your attackers might also be one of fit into people's the template. So, what are your thoughts on people overlooking Liverpool, even though their fixtures might be a bit tricky because we have Chelsea first game, second game you have Bournemouth, and then third game you have Newcastle. Not the easiest
Yeah.
of fixtures, to be honest.
No, first 3 game weeks is not easy for Liverpool. But the second game week is too good to
To
ignore.
ignore.
That's how
Yeah,
I say it.
yeah.
Um, Bournemouth is too good to ignore because like last season, I think it was a good fixture for Liverpool. Salah did not score, even though Liverpool scored 9. I think everybody will remember that very well.
Oh yeah, of
Everybody
course,
captained Salah for that game,
of
looking for
course,
him to
of
give you
course.
something. But yeah, I think the obvious the point that Andy raised is absolutely the thing. Because of the way people work, it's always about what they see in front of them.
Yep.
This is even though sometimes we tend to not think we are doing that, but we actually do that. Like, oh,
Recency
these four
bias. Yeah, that's it.
fixtures, these
Yeah,
are the
yeah,
players. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, recency bias. Like, what is in front of you,
Yep.
and that's why Liverpool players are going to be less owned
Hmm.
compared to normal situation. Because first game we play away to Chelsea, which is of course a difficult fixture. So nobody will be thinking, okay, should I get this Liverpool player? So yeah, and but it's an interesting team. It's an interesting team to have. Attacking wise, Liverpool are very good, and defensively not so much. And of course, Salah we are talking about, and then the forward players, we don't know who's gonna start. Those kind of things also play a part. If somebody could tell you that this is the Liverpool striker who will play the games, like if Darwin Núñez was nailed every single game, I'm sure people will get him in their team.
Yeah.
If there was no Jota or there was no Gakpo, it was just Darwin in Liverpool team. Many
Yeah.
people will start with Darwin just to get him in
Yeah.
the second game. But right now, you don't know when he's going to start. He's going to start the next game. So those little things also play a part in it. But I think mainly it's because of the first fixture that they have. So if you get a Liverpool player going into game week 2, you be rest assured that you are having a kind of a differential in your team.
Now you really need to have them. You might just need to keep enough funds in your like in your bank, just to put that, because Darwin was 7.5, right? I think how much does Jota cost? Or just one of the attackers. Just
8 million, Jota 8, Darwin in a 7.5, and then you have Gakpo 7.5 or 7,
oh boy,
something
it
like
is
that.
not cheap. But yeah, at least if you keep enough money in there, or just start with them. I think for me the best thing, that's why I'm not decided yet in my second striker, because I want to see what the options are. Because as things get closer, things will become more clear. As the game week 1 becomes closer, you get more picture of what you want to play and your strategy going forward. So
Yeah.
yeah, for me I feel like that's the most difficult thing. Be flexible, because like I said, FPL every season is different. It's very different. So you
Mm.
never know what's gonna happen. Um, yeah. So let me see. Differential picks, we'll just leave it till next episode, because right now it's a bit too early for differential picks.
It's been too early.
Yeah,
It's
so
been
the
too
differential
early.
picks, like I said, is just gonna be what the new transfers or players that we feel like are gonna do really well this season. So those are the differential picks. But for now, it's a bit too early.
Different pick, yeah.
So we'll
But I think
just
I already say a thing or two about like
yeah, some of the
Richarlison is a
yeah, some of
player
the
that
players.
I think is gonna be something. And the Arsenal, like going to Arsenal, differential pick. Sometimes we just take it to be one player.
Mm,
Sometimes it's a strategy that is your differential in your squad, right?
yeah,
Because like for example, Arsenal double defense. Like not many people will gonna everybody will gonna have an Arsenal defense, but how do you differentiate yourself from the others? Arsenal are gonna have a very good, good first 4 game. We look Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace, Fulham, Man United, Aston Villa, no, Everton in the first 5 fixtures. In those fixtures, maybe you can see Arsenal getting a 4 or 3, at least 3 clean sheets and stuff like that. If you happen to get a double defense from Arsenal, maybe you might also, get something. Because Gabriel Jesus now is out. So where do we add our Arsenal players? Of course, midfield too, having the double midfield too could be the trick, but also the defense too is very cheap. Like 5 million, you can have 2 Arsenal defenders. For 10 million, you can have 2 Arsenal defenders, and you use that. So that could be a differential in my opinion. And just like we say about Liverpool, because of the game week 1, how tough
mm,
it is. If you happen to have 1 or 2 Liverpool players in your team, manage with them to game week 2, you will have a huge differential in there. And that is right now what is my headache.
that's
How
it.
can I do that? How can I make that happen
Exactly. So this
without being
this this takes us to the strategy. So what is your strategy for, let's say, the first 3 game weeks right now? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think going into the first 3 game weeks, my strategy is similar to what I was thinking last season and
Mm-hmm.
or what I was thinking the previous season. The same things I was thinking. So my thinking is always like at the start of the season, I want to be very short term thinker. 2 to 4 game weeks at maximum. 2 to 4 game weeks. That is where I plan for. So anything beyond that, I don't really see the reason to plan for that. Until of course we reach that point, then I will see what to do. And then I try to start with that, like that strong boost, like that thing I said always, that is like FEL, they say it's a marathon, it's a huge marathon,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a game that you can start with a sprint. You can sprint from the start and then you slow down and then join the marathon with the marathon people. So this kind of stuff, that is what I want to start. This is what I want to have. So that's why I'm trying to see opportunities where I can cheat the
Get
game
ahead,
and
yeah.
yeah, get ahead and stuff like that. Those are the kind of thinking I'm thinking. If I do this in game week 1, in game week 2, that's why sometimes my team may come funny to others, because I'm not just following what everybody is doing in
Yeah.
terms of the template. Last year it backfired on me. It did not work for me, but it's something that I am ready to explore again. Ready to try it. I'm ready to try again. And of course, I want to create flexibility. I'm not gonna, say anything like I have set myself in terms of planning. Okay, after this 4 games, I'm gonna do this or I'm gonna do that. I'm just leaving myself flexible at that point. whatever the game takes me to. If it takes me that I need to use my wildcard that early, I don't care using the wildcard that early. And if it says, okay, the team is good, you can move forward. That flexibility too, I want to create for myself. And also finally, I want to build my team around the captain for that particular period. So I have to, the first thing on my team is who will I captain in this particular game week. If I decide this, then I build my team around that. How can I get those captains in 1 to 2 or 3, 1 to 4 game weeks? Make sure that there is a route to get all these players in, or at least have them in my team, so that when the games come, when the game week comes, I just captain them. I've already decided on those kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
I
is
think
kind of
that's
my
a good
approach.
strategy to have. Even though it didn't work last season, but like that's the risk you're willing to take, right? Like you have to take some kind of risk in FPL. I'm the opposite. I'm gonna
I know.
I'm gonna start as template as possible, but I wanted to be extra template. But as things like as I started getting like more involved in all like watching all these podcasts and these FPL
Yeah,
the content on social media and whatever, I'm beginning to see, okay, I need to have some players that are template, but at least a few players, like about 2 or 3 players, are going to be differential for me. The players that I
yeah,
feel like will do well initially. Because you can't have all template because you want to be playing it safe. Like you're
yeah.
gonna find yourself in the middle. So that's why Pedro is one of them that I'm thinking, okay, this guy can really do well. He's in my team. A few, I'm also trying to see if I can fit in. Like the midfield is pretty much set. I think defense, almost everybody, like we'll see later, everybody has the same defenders or whatever. Midfield too is almost the
Mhm.
same, but the differential, I think, would be that second striker. You know, I'm sure the bench options in most teams look really terrible right now because the players whose names you have never even heard. But we don't have a choice because you have to manage your budget very well. So I'm also looking at Liverpool players. Especially for this Bournemouth game. Like I think you brought it to my attention. I was like, okay, I need to fit in Darwin Nunes. Either get him now or use somebody else who has a better fixture in game week 1 with the same price tag like Jackson, 7 million. Get him in, have a 5 million in the bank or 6 million or whatever, or sorry, 1 million. So in game week 2 you switch, bring in what's his name again, Darwin, and then if afterwards if I feel like okay, let me get somebody else. So that flexibility. I had 2 million in the bank, but I realized that it was just too much. Why am I keeping that money, all that money in the bank?
I can see
It's
managers
it's
getting
not
a
like
lot of money in
yeah,
their
it's not like you're gonna cash it anyway. So where are you gonna go? If you're planning to get a particular player at a particular price, then it makes sense. But if you don't start with them, what's the point in bringing them in game week 2 for 2 million plus? It doesn't make for me. It doesn't make any sense. I think having 1 million or at least half point 0.5 million is okay for price changes because people are going to move players very quickly, especially after game week 1. All
Absolutely.
these players bang, oh, let's go and get him. Price rises, price falls. So yeah, I'm thinking be as flexible in game week 1 as possible. In game week 2, look at fixtures. Like for Liverpool has a good fixture, and even though it's a bit difficult because Arsenal have Crystal Palace, but I still feel like they're a better team than Crystal Palace and they can do well against them. But try to look at all these opportunities where your differential can really shine because it's like a race. Like you are looking at having a huge head start in the beginning of the race so that you can relax in the end, which is a good strategy to have. Some of us are also looking to start medium and then start pulling away from the race slowly. So
From the crowd, huh?
there are different strategies, but I think my strategy this season is not to be afraid of Haaland. Like I think you sent me the clip of the world number one the one it last season,
Yeah,
and he said he only captained Haaland 18 times in the whole 38 games.
yeah.
So it shows you that if you stick with people that have the same players, you're not gonna push as far as you think you're gonna push. It's gonna be a very long, slow ride, even though you can make it. But you need to take these opportunities and figure out where these opportunities to get ahead are. So yeah. So finally, let's go to our gimmick 1 team. I'll start with you.
And before we go, I just want to discuss about we can talking about Haaland.
Hmm.
I think I shared with you some time back that Excel spreadsheet where I show you when
Yeah,
it
yeah,
comes
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah, definitely.
the players, when it comes to captaincy, when it comes to, I was just trying to open that, but I cannot find it in my, but the thing was, I just compared last season because of course the season you can divide it into two. Your home games 19 and your away games 19 away games. So every player, what they score at home and what they score away from home might differ. Understand? So let me just see. I think that's it, right? Yeah. Okay, I can only. But like for example, Haaland was averaging 11 points per game at home last season. And then if you change that to his away form, he was averaging around 6 points per game. Understand? Around 6 to 7 points per game. And then you look at a player like Saka at home, what he was averaging around 8 points per game. You look at players like Rashford, he was averaging more than points per game at home than Haaland average away from home. So if you just look at it in a broader perspective, like players tend to do well away at home. And I think this is something I've been saying for 2 or 3 seasons ago. Players tend to do well better at home, and they tend to do worse away from home. There are some cases
few
where
outliers,
there's an anomaly.
yeah.
There's an anomaly where a player happened to do better away from home than away at home. But it's very, 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 very rare. Like if you look over the past few seasons. And so those kind of analysis is also important to see. That is where you say, okay, when can I go against Haaland? When can I, those little things. But I feel this season, everybody just make most managers just make the easy decision and say,
It's
okay,
Haaland,
it was Haaland last season. And then even the content creators, I watch a lot of
doing
them.
the same thing too, yeah.
Like they are doing the same thing. They are just saying, yeah, it's just foolish to go against Haaland. Like, because where do you put the money? That's where they are thinking stop. So you have to think deeper, because you are like something like they are there to you are not there to tell people do this thing, but at least bring out those little facts and tell them this is what happened, and then then we see. And it's not only that. Last season, like I say, Haaland scored 273 FPL points, and he was insanely good, absolutely insane. But you go and check the FPL records. There were a lot of FPL players who scored way more than that. Harry Kane got 263 points last season. Haaland got 9 points more than Harry Kane last season, just 9 points, despite Haaland coming and trashing all the records in the league. So those little things, he's a striker. So all these kind of things, you have to bring it into the analysis when you are talking about Haaland. He's a striker. Okay, he needs to score 2 or 3 goals before he's going to be worth it.
Compared to
all
midfield,
those kind of things. So I just want people to think deeper about it. Not necessarily go against him, but think deeper about it before, taking the decision just because it's Haaland. And that's
it makes the game more interesting if you're willing to to go against the grain, sometimes because it's easy. You just think, oh, this is fine, so just put him in your team. But I think, like you said, nobody is permanent in any team. It depends how you approach the game. You can not even have Haaland in your team, but if you plan very well, you can definitely outscore most people that have Haaland in their team. Which is it just takes a bit of planning. So this is your team. Take us through your formation.
My team.
This we will start with you. Take us through your team, and then what's the ideology behind, or your strategy behind your game week 1 team.
The team, to be honest, the team is not set. I'm not here to tell people this is my team and then
change it.
This is what
but we know because this is your latest draft. I can see.
This is just because even today I think I did a draft. There was Haaland in the team, and now there's his draft. When you do this and then they don't see Haaland, and then you start this season and then they saw Haaland. Okay, this guy was they've done soap. They've not taken anything they don't put Haaland. But I've not decided if Haaland is gonna be in my team, because it's still close for me to put him there or not to put him there. Because of course we know he's the only striker. He's the best striker. He's probably going to be the leading goal scorer in the game. He's gonna score a lot of points in the game. But that's not what I play for. I play for the points. If I can get a better route to get more points than Haaland, than without Haaland, then I will go for it. And at this moment in time, Haaland is costing 14 million in the game. He's the most expensive player. Since I started playing FPL, no player has ever cost 14 million. And he needs to score. By using that logic, he needs to outscore every single player who has played the game before. And he did not do that last season, despite being an insane season for him. And now he has these first 3 game weeks, like I say, which for me, I have enough reason to think that he is not the best captain for game week 1, game week 2, and game week 3. And if that's the case, why should he be in my team? That is the question I have to answer. Still, I have not answered it convincingly, So if I answer it either side, if I answer it that okay, Haaland can be in your team despite not captaining him three times in the first 3 game weeks, if that's the answer that comes to me at the end of by Friday, then Haaland will be in the team. But if that's not the answer, then he will not be in the team. By the way, my team is let me stop talking about Haaland as if I have an agenda against Haaland.
No,
But
it's
yeah,
good to have these opinions, man, because we need something
yeah,
different so that we can start, thinking on our own. That's the thing. That's the thing about FPL. Yeah, go on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But there's this other thing. If we are especially if you are a good content creator, a big content creator, you don't want to go against Haaland because if they backfire, your audience are coming back at you.
Everybody will
For
point
us, it's
towards.
okay. We don't have that big
Yeah.
audience, and I'm not advising anybody to do what I do. It's just I'm telling you to think
Mm,
outside the box and then make a decision after that.
mm,
Like that's how it's supposed to be. And then you have like I said, Pickford is in my goal. That one can change. I have 3 options for goals. Steele is there, and Onana is somebody I also considered. But in defense, I have Stones. I went with big
big at the
kind of
back.
big at the
Yeah.
back.
Mm,
Yeah, which is not many people are talking about it, but I went with that because I feel there's where the value is. The value players, Arsenal double defense. You have them; they are valuable because of 5 million, 5 million. Estepina, and I think he's in more than 50% of teams.
mhm.
Trent, I want him. There's the bias there, of course. There's the bias there, but also there's the game week 2, which I am seeing like if Liverpool take off in that game, and then I'm sure it will be difficult for many managers to have 2 or 3 Liverpool players in their team. If you have that and Liverpool take off in that game, you might have that boost start I want to have.
Mm.
That's that big start I want to have. That Liverpool could be that team that give it to me. That's why I I want to have Trent, but I know our defense is not great. And if I have him, I have to start him against Chelsea, which I'm not so convinced about because of I don't know what lineup we're gonna come up with. But yeah, that's it. With Trent, he is coming in and out of my team sometimes, but it's so hard for me to not pick him. For him, definitely the bias plays a big part in me, just not to get rid of him. But we will see what happens by Friday. Stones, I think he's a very good player. Man City, if he starts, I'm hopeful Pep will be more lenient with us this season and give Stones his starts that he deserves, and that would be nice. And yeah, I went with the Man United double midfield. That is Fernandez and Rashford, who I see also there's a lot of value, especially in Fernandez. Rashford, of course, right now he's now at the price that we will expect him to be. Like last season, we say he was on a price because of the previous season, the bad season. Now they have priced him properly, but he's still a very, very good pick. So that's why I have him in my team. Saka is my Arsenal pick in midfield. He's the safest one, and I expect him because he's left side. He kind of owns that position. And then up top, I start with Jao Pedro, one striker I'm going with. I will go with Darwin and Jackson. Both of them, I'm benching them, by the way. Darwin also, I just want that big booster from Liverpool. I just want to take that opportunity, and I just want to be there when they take off. But I will be surprised if Bournemouth win that game 1-0, and then everything backfire on me. you know,
Uh,
yeah, that's my thing. What's your thought?
I mean, I'm surprised by the big at the back because my thinking is in the beginning of the season, right? All the teams are fit. Even the new teams that have been promoted, they come up with like they are motivated. They're excited to be in the Premier League. So they can be a bit troublesome. You understand? And also because most players are not in the same fitness level, so most players start with that sharpness missing in their game. So you may have a few silly goals here and there, but obviously big teams always score more goals. But there's opportunity for some very silly goals in the beginning of the season. So my thinking is that big at the back right now might be a bit of a risk, but
Mhm.
you have
Okay.
like the best defenders right now in your midfield, in your defense. You have Stones who plays in the midfield. Gabriel also very good, like we saw in the Community Shield. Estupinian is more like an attacker than even a defender. Saliba
Mhm.
also very good, and then Trent. The only issue I have is Trent because right now you said you have defensive issues, defensive midfield issues in your team.
Mhm.
Even though Trent plays in midfield, you guys might concede a few goals. That's it. But the midfield, I think, this is standard midfield. Almost everybody has the same midfield, apart from Salah. That is the
Yeah.
only issue. Salah this season, like people, it's a risk. Trust me. Anybody that tells you that Salah is not going, it's a risk. They're just saying that to convince themselves. But not having Salah, after having Salah as the main player in FPL for like the past how many seasons, is a big change for almost everybody.
Yeah.
So it can either boost you guys. He starts with like a hat trick, like he's been always been doing the past few seasons, and then everybody panics and plays their wild card
And then
immediately. Or
imagine our game against Chelsea go 3-3 or something.
you know,
Salah gets a goal and an assist or stuff like that.
yeah, things are going to change
Then
immediately. So
then game week
like
2 is gonna be crazy for everyone.
I don't want to be honest. I don't want to think about it. So I guess when I want to just leave it out of my mind. But it's not. It feels a bit weird not having Salah in my team. It's for the start of FPL, to be honest. But I trust that the midfielders we have can be able to can cover him. Hopefully, because I see his role now as more of a creator than a finisher like before. So
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
but it's a good differential to have at this point, and it's funny to say that Salah is a differential in FPL. It's very weird to say. Joao Pedro,
Exactly.
I really like in your team. So yeah, I think that the
Exactly.
solid picks you have the two strikers. I think one of them should start because one of them might score a
They
few
are
goals.
strikers.
Yeah, your two strikers,
Yeah.
Darwin and Jackson. Yeah.
If I was starting, I was gonna start with Jackson and then bench Trent. But like the thought of benching Trent at 8 million is
Doesn't make
not
any
good for
sense.
me.
Yeah,
It doesn't make sense to
you
me.
might not
And
start. Yeah.
like you say, definitely. I watched the game yesterday. All the set pieces, Saboslai was taking them. Like
Oh,
Trent was only playing the 6. We had 2 goals from corner. Saboslai took all those corners, but Trent was locking around the box for rebound shot and stuff like that. So yeah, I did not like what I see there. And defensively, I know we will concede. The goal we conceded yesterday too, I was not happy about it. It was they break our line, which is also becoming like it happens
common.
all the time, and we know
Yeah.
it's a problem, but we need to address that. So, like a lot of things, if I look at them, Trent is not right. But he's that player that I know if I don't get him now, if I want to get him later, it's gonna be really hard. Like Haaland, it's easy to get Haaland, to be honest. Of course, he's the most expensive player in the team, but it's really easy to get Haaland. I can just, like for example, if I sell Salah to get Haaland, I know I'm getting a top player in that area. But if I sell Salah to get Trent, or sell a Rashford to get a Trent, it does not make sense from that level. But for any player to sell them for Haaland,
It
it
makes
might
sense.
be
It's
really,
an
really good.
improvement. It's like yeah,
It's an
elevation.
improvement.
Yeah.
But there is no player that I will say and say, like in the midfield, who I will, downgrade and say, okay, I'm going to bring in Trent for them. Like, it's going to be a hit, and then I'm going to lose a very good player in that end. But Haaland is a different story. I can get him anyways.
Yeah.
I feel.
Well, I think it's a good team, man. Like honestly, yeah, it's different, but it's also good. Like the midfield is solid. It's like almost every other midfield. Defense also solid. So it's just a few. Salah, I think, and Trent. Those are the only two that I always say, okay, these are like differentials in this season. So yeah. Jumping to my team. This is as template as you can get right now. Playing a 3-4-3, even though it might change. I have Onana in goal. I have Chilwell, Estupinian, Gabriel. Midfield, I have Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, Saka, and then Martinelli. Up top, I have Haaland, Alvarez, Joao Pedro, and then bench, Areola, goalkeeper, Mitoma, Baldock, and Botman. Chilwell, I think, have been impressed with his preseason. I've watched their summer series here in the US, and he was very impressive. He's like a winger. He's always in the box, always attacking. So we all know what Chilwell can do. I hope he stays fit. That's the only thing. Estupinian, you already said this. Gabriel you also mentioned this. Two defensive options, but Estupinian is more attacking. Of course, we know. Rashford, who plays strike. Bruno Fernandes is the only one. I think you had to convince me to have ManU because Bruno hasn't been really great in the preseason, but it's only preseason, like we already say. So hopefully he gets more opportunities because he's on pens, of course. Saka is always Saka. Martinelli was Trossard. I had to change it after the Community Shield, so maybe that hasn't influenced me to change my options, but he's starting ahead of Trossard, so I believe his minutes are more secure than Trossard, so that's why I brought him in instead of Trossard. Alvarez is a funny one because I saw him play and I know KDB was injured, but when KDB came, he changed the game, so that means Alvarez might not start for Burnley if KDB is fully fit. Yeah, so that might be something that I change. Joao Pedro is also there. So right now, the only problem is how do I fit in a Darwin Nunes? That is my issue. So if there's going to be any change, it's going to be two of them or one of them. or I downgrade to like a really 4.5 striker or whatever, and then try to get like Darwin Nunes as an option there. So
How much is Alvarez costed?
I think it's a 6.5.
Okay, it's not
Yeah,
so expensive then.
yeah, it's not expensive. I think it's 6.5. Let me just confirm that. Yeah, 6.5. Yep.
Mm.
Joao Pedro is a very good price point. It's 5.5. That's why it's a good deal. It's a good value pick. So, what are your thoughts on my team?
No, I think it's a solid team, very well balanced. And you have even the option of benching Mitoma,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
huge. But I would not bench him definitely. If I
You play
have
him
him in my
over.
team,
You
I would
play him
start
over
him.
Alvarez. I can play him over Alvarez. That's not a problem. That's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, I play him over Alvarez.
Mm,
Luton down, fixture is a big thing for me.
mm,
So playing Luton, I think Brighton have the best fixture actually
yeah.
after them Arsenal, because Luton of course we don't know much about Luton, but they lost a lot of players in their team
Mm,
coming up. They came through the playoffs. I was following them because there was Cody Drame who could play for Gambia, so I was following them quite a lot over the course of the season. They were impressive, defensively very solid, but still, I think the Premier League is a different ball game. And then
mm,
the players they lost coming into the Premier League, that could be an issue for them.
mm.
Yeah, so I will start Mitoma definitely. If I cannot I think he's the best Brighton asset, even maybe Estapinan you can say. So I will start him over Alvarez, and I will start him over João Pedro
Pedro.
if I had him.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, I think the team is quite solid. Chilwell is a very nice differential pick.
Yeah.
If he takes off against Liverpool, or even if he does not, Chelsea have the best fixtures after that game week. I think from game week 2 to game week 8, Chelsea's fixtures are just amazing. So to have that Chelsea player, that's why I have Jackson actually in my bench, and I don't care about the Liverpool fixture. So just after that one, then I will unleash him, bring him in. So Chilwell having him early is quite interesting, and I like that idea. Yeah, Onana too. Like you say, he's an interesting keeper. He was going to give a lot of points because he's very involved in the game. So at 5 million, I think he's well worth it to have him. So the team midfield wise is exceptional. You have my boy Martinelli, who unfortunately I feel reluctant to have him this season, but he's an exceptional pick. You have
Yeah.
Fernandez and Rashford. Midfield is superb, and of course you have the main guy, that is Haaland. The only thing is that Liverpool coverage, you don't have it for
I
game
don't
week
have the
two.
coverage. Yeah. Yeah. I don't have the coverage.
If
That's the thing.
Liverpool do well in the first game week, which like with the preseason they have, and Chelsea struggles in terms of trying to gel with new manager and stuff like
Mm.
that, Liverpool can do something
A
in that
surprise.
fixture.
Yeah. They can spring a surprise. Yeah.
So if they do well, then there is the traffic jam. Everybody will be jumping around, like
That,
So
that's that's my worry. So I might change a few things. Maybe I think Pedro is going to stay, but Alvarez, if I can ship him out and then try to see where I can shave like another 0.5 million from Botman or
mm.
something, I can get in like Darwin Nunes.
Yeah.
I would like
I
Jota,
will
but
say
Jota is a midfielder right now. I personally I like Jota, but he's expensive and he's a midfielder also. That's my
yeah,
problem with
he's
him.
an 8 million midfielder. So yeah, yesterday Jota started in the friendly yesterday, and he scored a very good goal. Counter press, Liverpool counter press, get the ball, and then Jota scored from it. And then Darwin came in, he missed a chance. Last game against Bayern too, he missed a few chances. So watching those two games, our last two games, that did not put him in a good, place for the
Mm,
coach. But for the Bournemouth game, if I was guessing, I think that is a game for him.
mm.
That game is built for Darwin. So that's why if you can't take that risk to get him for that fixture, even if he does not play against Chelsea, even if he does not start, you should
Just
not
put
worry.
him in the bench.
You should
Yeah.
feel, just wait for that Bournemouth game.
Mm,
And then, he can take off, score 4 goals or something,
yeah.
hat trick,
Yeah.
and then it's going to be crazy. And then maybe after that, you can sell him.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but Bournemouth is his game. Bournemouth
yeah.
is his game, in my
We'll
opinion.
see. So these are two of our teams so far. I can call it the last draft, but we'll sure have a
Yeah.
few drafts before now and give me one. So this is our latest draft. I can call it our latest draft. So yeah. Anything
Yeah.
else we forgot to mention? I think we've come to the end of the pod. The pod
Yeah, of course. The
today.
code, the
Yeah.
code classic league code is also on your
Exactly.
screen. You
I
can
forgot to
see
mention that. Yeah.
it. KQS9LR. So if you want to join the league, of course, usually we have prizes to give. Unfortunately, last year our prizes are still not yet, delivered. But we are working on that very, very, very hard. So the prizes will be out very soon.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, like before the season start, or maybe just around before the end of the month, at least before the transfer window ends. The prices they will get them. Our winners last season, they were from Sierra Leone. First place was from Sierra Leone. Second place was from Sierra Leone,
Oh
which
wow.
is a double for Sierra Leone. So and as we know, our league is very like diverse. We have players from everywhere, every corner of the world. So to be the champion, to have the champion and the runner up in the same country, that is something we need to big up. So big up to our Salum boys. Well done for that. And yeah, just wait. The prizes will come your way soon.
Yep. So there you have
Yeah,
it, people.
subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe as always. And the league code is KQS9LR for the Kotu Classic Mini-league. It's going to be interesting because every season we step it up a bit with the competition. So yeah, guys, please join our league. And thank you guys for always watching and supporting the pod. Um, always watch out for our episodes, of course. So this season we'll try to be as consistent as possible. Yes.
Hopefully, yeah.
Also check out the Jollof Football Bantaba. We have a few, some videos there for you as well. Gambian football, interesting stuff. Yeah. So thanks, guys. We catch you guys on the next one.